Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We are working on this cool old, and it's old, Gottlieb Four Seasons pinball machine. We're kind of in between videos here, but today we're going to work on the Playfield. It's got a little wear on it. We're not going to worry about repainting it or anything, but we're going to clean it up as best we can. Put new wax on it, new rubber rings on it. See how nice we can get it to look. I think it's going to look pretty good. This is a cool game with an interesting little feature in the center of the playfield, where you have these two little bats that you can hit with the ball and knock around to change the score that you make when you land in the out holes or roll over some of the rollover switches. So I'm going to have Joey disassemble the thing, clean it up, and then reassemble it. This is a customer's game that we're fixing up for him, but this is what we're starting with. So we're going to try to bring back another old EM and get it playing right. So this is how it came to us. Let's get to working on it. So Joe did the playfield. Now we're going to do under the playfield, but here's what we ended up with on top. New instruction cards. And if you don't know on these older ones, if you're watching this, you probably are very familiar with these 60s EM games, but on the Gottlieb ones, the game over light is actually down here and the ball and play light. It's pretty cool. So we just cleaned it up. The art got a lot brighter. Obviously there's pretty heavy wear from where the ball ejects out of those two holes there. They have bent the arms on them too. I don't know if that's to try to throw the ball a different way or what. I'm going to look at some pictures to see if those should be straight or if they should be curved like that. We took the mylar off around the pop bumper skirts. There's one nut missing off that one, speed nut or whatever they call it. And of course we haven't done anything under the playfield yet. Or under on the bottom of the playfield. But there we go. We did change the flipper rubbers back to the ones that are supposed to be on it, which is just a 1-inch rubber ring. The gentleman had those red ones on there that were more flat, but they were old, you know, so it was time to change them. So I think this is going to be very playable like this. I see one light up there that's a little flaky. We'll have to mess with that. So we're going to go ahead and lift up the playfield and start working underneath it though, and see if we can get all that stuff straightened out. And then that'll be the last things that we still have to clean and adjust before we play it and try to troubleshoot it if there's still any problems. So we've got the transformer panel down on the bottom that we've done. The last video we did it, and we did all of the stuff in the back box. The first video was kind of just a review where we just looked over everything awesome on this game. And I really do like this one. We've had 3 or 4 of them. I like the art, not necessarily the gameplay as much, although it's kind of interesting with the arrows, but the art I think is really cool for this age. But yeah, let's pop up the playfield and we'll see what needs to happen under there. Alright, so we've lifted up the playfield. I went through and replaced the light bulbs. There's not really that many under the playfield. It looks like there is, but there's actually not. There's the same player shoots again light. There's 4 lights there on the in lane and out lanes. That's 5. 6, 7 for the 2 holes. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17. So there's 17 bulbs underneath the playfield. You've got a bunch that stick through the playfield. I think Joey swapped all of them though whenever he was swapping the things on the top. And then we've got these up here that are the ball and play lights. We need to check all of them to make sure they're all working. This resistor is interesting. If you notice, there's a big old fat resistor on one bulb on the left and one bulb on the right. Why would they do that? Well, let's look in the schematics and see. So if you look at the schematics on an old pinball machine, these are Gottlieb schematics. They're actually still copyrighted. This is the schematics that came with one. It's the original set, but you can get a reproduction set if you need one for your pinball machine. They're like $10 or $12, something like that, and you can get them from the Pinball Resource. They have the rights to print up new ones, and they print out nice long ones like this on a big piece of paper, just like the original ones. So luckily, because of that, we're able to get access to these. So these things are actually copyrighted, so I can't show you the whole thing, but I can show you little parts. They don't mind me showing you how you can use the schematics to help you fix your machine. So we're trying to figure out why those light bulbs have big old resistors on them. Well, down here at the bottom is the transformer. And this is the primary side of the transformer. So the plug comes in. And so these things are actually, I guess it's that one control, one coil on this is actually ran off 120 volts. So anyway, whenever that comes on, the transformer has power. Right? You can see where is the on-off switch? There we go. On-off switch. So whenever you turn it on, you're basically turning on power to the transformer. And then the secondary of the transformer is making a 5-volt connection and a 6-volt connection. Now this is all AC. And then from here to here is a, what are they? You know, they didn't label it. I think it's 40. It's like 40 volts or something like that. I guess it would be helpful if I knew because of the, we're trying to figure out math here in a second, but I believe it's like 40 volts. So you have a primary side, and then, you have a primary side, and then the secondary side has several windings. Now, why do they have 5-volt and 6-volt? That's actually a little unique. I don't see that a ton. It looks like, if we follow up here, the line on the left is 6, the line on the just to the right of that is 5. The 6-volt goes through 2 fuses and then does a bunch of the lights. The 5-volt goes through 1 fuse and only does the coin chute lights. That's interesting. You wouldn't think they'd go through all that trouble to keep those separate. They could have just as easily put them on the other, one of the other ones. Interesting. Oh yeah, it's 30. It must be 30 volts because one of the coils is called the 30-volt hold relay. So it must be 30 volts. So we've got 5 volts, 6 volts, and 30 volts. So you've got your 5-volt line, your 6-volt line, and then all of this stuff is 30 volts because it's running all of the coils, all of the solenoids. So all of these, like the W, it says here is, if I can read it from here, the first chute relay, I think. Second chute relay. Second chute relay. The XX relay is the two-player relay, etc., etc. So all these would do something. The S relay sure sounds like start, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the start relay. And on and on and on. So all these relays are coils that run off of 30 volts. And you can see the ball return, the top hole kicker, even the coils on the score reels, all of this, all of this, all of this, and you keep on going. And eventually you get up to here. Look at this. Right hole light, and then they have a 75 ohm 10 watt resistor. So that's that resistor we're seeing. And then the left hole light, 75 ohm 10 watt resistor. Well, why would they do that instead of just putting it over on the light bulb side? So obviously they're putting the resistor in there to lower the voltage that's running through the bulb so it doesn't burn out. I don't know why they... I guess because they're trying to make a couple things happen at the same time. So they want... What is that for? Oh yeah, that's those hold things that we've seen before. They want to run... They want to use a certain set of switches and a certain way of making things turn on to turn on coils, but at the same time they also want it to turn on lights. So they could have another coil in here, like a relay, a whole light relay or something that they turn on, which then turns on. It has switches over here, which turns on the lamps. But they've just wired them up to the same lines that they're using to turn on the coils, so that they don't need an entire other relay. The whole thing's pretty crazy. And then if the ball falls in the left hole, and if the power is connected over here in such a way that the light is on, that will also give power through the left hole switch to turn on the Z relay, which is the continue to play relay, and etc., etc., etc. So it's just the way they decided to wire it up. I think basically it's saving them from putting an extra relay in, so it's like a cost-cutting measure, but they have to put in resistors instead. So that's kind of, maybe they would have needed 2 relays to make the 2 lights come on or something. But for whatever reason, the resistor is on there because they're running it off the 30 volt side instead of the 6 volt side. So, all right, back to the machine. So right in the middle of the playfield on this one, there's these 2 big arrows that you can hit with the ball, and it spins this little disc around on the bottom. And they're really, you can hit it and it'll spin all over the place, both ways. And all it is just a little board that's very similar to the board on the later models score reels. I think they moved to this type of score reel shortly after this. It's a little different, but same kind of idea. And basically, there's a couple little contacts on the bottom of this disc that connect a couple things together to make it multiply out a certain way. So this is the multiplier indicator, and then this one's the value indicator. The little piece that goes on it is just one wiper. So the rest of this is actually, oh, I see. This blade touches this, and then whichever this blade is touching is what's hooked up, basically. So it's a cool little setup that they came up with. I don't know how many games actually use this, but it's an interesting concept. So I just need to clean this up, make sure all these are nice and shiny, and then we'll put a little bit of super lube on it, and those will be fine. Now I've lined it up real carefully so I could tell exactly how it goes back on, if you were to get it off, I believe you could line it back up by knowing what you're pointing at and then making sure that the little contact crosses over from one pad to the next whenever the little arrow goes over whatever lines on the playfield. So I think it could be lined back up pretty easy. You'd have to test it a little bit, but very doable. Okay, so let me clean those up, and then we're going to move on to the flippers. We've got some flipper issues up here. All right, so on this left side, something has happened with this. They call this the pawl, P-A-W-L. Something has happened with this where they broke the pin off the end of it, and then they put a bolt in it or something. The problem with that is you're introducing all kinds of play in it, which makes the flippers weaker. Now this one, just the way it's set up, it's not really that bad, but I'm definitely going to change it. But there's not a ton of play in it. Like as soon as this starts moving, the link starts moving. And since it's all the way at the end of that, there's really not that much play, but I got to replace it, make it right. This side, there's a little more play in this plunger. You know, so we got to replace all that stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull this coil loose, which allows you to get the plunger out. So I'm going to take these two screws loose here. So this is the one they had in there. Somehow they lost the post on it and then made a new one with just a bolt and a couple nuts, which actually would work pretty decent, actually. But I ordered a new one. You can get these from the Pinball Resource, pbresource.com. They make all kinds of reproduction parts for Gottlieb pinball machines, and thank God, because if it wasn't for that, we'd be stuck with this. Okay, and so here is the original plunger with the link. You can see is got a lot of play in it. I don't know how much that was affecting it, but that's way too much. And I was able to buy some new links. So we're going to take out this roll pin out of the plunger, save the plunger, put a new link on it, and a new pawl on it, and it will be nice and snappy. Well, as snappy as possible for a 2-inch flipper. All right, so new links, and the little clips were gone. So new clips and the new pawl, and I lined up the flipper on the front to fit that right. New sleeves, and we'll see if we've got any kind of action on them. But that's it on the bottom of the playfield. So I've cleaned all the switches, I cleaned the relays, replaced all the light bulbs. So now we just need to play it and see what doesn't work. All right, folks. So we believe we have done all of the cleaning. So we need to test play it and see what all it needs repaired. Turned it on. These lights are on, but we're in ball and play 1. I don't know if it should do that, if that should be on or not. But we are tilted, which is good. So it's supposed to tilt when it comes on after game over. You can notice none of the lights are on the playfield. That's correct too. So if we hit start, the tilt should go off. Everything should reset. The ball and play 1 should stay the same. It should kick the ball out and we can play it. So let's see what we got. Oh, and for credits, we've got 13 credits. Lucky 13. So I won't be able to reset those on the back glass because they're already reset. All right, so lights on. First player is lit up. Ball and play 1. Little flipper action. This one's going to be a ringer. All right, so let me set up the camera and we'll do it by hand just to make sure everything's working right. All right, so you can see the ball in play 2. You can't see the score. We're at 380. So basically, I'm just going to test everything by hand, and then we'll play it a little bit. That way, we'll know that it scores, but correctly. But we'll play it a little bit just to make sure that the ball flows and it plays correctly too. So this says 10 points, and we're getting that 390, 400. So you heard two different bells. One was for 10 points, and then one was for 100 points because it rolled over from 390 to 400. That seems correct. See what this is. This might be 1. Okay, cool. It's a little bit touchy, but whenever you have a bumper near a pop bumper, you don't really want it real close. If you've got it too close, this is just accidental, but if you've got it too close, it'll jackhammer a lot or machine gun a lot. The ball's going to come off this pop bumper and hit that pretty hard, so it doesn't need to be real close. So those are working. These over here are going to work the same. They're going to be wired up exactly the same, so if you've got one side working, you're going to have the other side working. That bulb there is a little touchy. The socket needs cleaned or the wire moved around on the bottom of it. This should also get us 10 points. Yep. This should get us 1 point. All right, so those are good. Okay, these say 5 points or the arrow value when lit. So all 4 of these should give us 5 points. So when I'm doing this, I'm also watching to see if the score reels roll over. So like it rolled over from 29 to 30 just now. 31 actually. All right, that's all good. These say 5 points or arrow value when lit. All right, that's not lit though, so they should both be the same. Look how weird the rubber ring is. Is that correct? Look how that is set up. I guess it is because there's a switch on top that's 10 points. And they're working correctly. So the pop bumpers, they say 10 points when lit, 100 points when lit, 10 points when lit. This is a classic textbook case of the exception that proves the rule. So when lit, the exception to that is when not lit, right? So it must be not 10 points when it's not lit. And of course it would be less, so it must be 1 point. Yes. It's the exception that proves the rule. 583. So that did 10 points. That's correct. So all of those are working perfect. Okay. Same thing down here. You get 5 points or arrow value when lit. But if you notice it's A, B, C, D, it's just like up here. So whatever makes these work is going to make these work. So you shouldn't ever really have much of a problem where this doesn't work, but that does. If you do, it's going to be a mechanical thing, like that switch is dirty or this actuator isn't hitting the switch, right? So we should get 5 points for all of these. It's working really good. I mean, it's smoothly going to each thing. Okay, these say 10 points, and when you got to watch these, they'll bite you. It worked. Same over here. All right, cool. Now that you're hearing is the it locking on because I'm holding it in with my hand. So all of that is fine. Now we're up to, we need to test the top holes, and we need to test the value and the multiplier. Let's see here. So I'll do these with my hand too. It says 50 points. It says holes light indicated features. So this should light up our A. Did we get 50? I wasn't watching. 643. No, we are not. Okay, so that's interesting. We are not getting 50 points. But that time we did. Holes light indicated features, and then it says 50 points. So maybe when the light's out, you get your 50 points. No, it's not working right. We only got 20 points. Okay, this one says the targets and the red bumpers should light. Targets and red bumpers. Yeah, we're going to have to look that up. Is that these? And then are these the red bumpers? I guess those did just light up. Or were they already lit? We'll figure it out. C. Okay, when I just tapped it that time, I did get my 50 points. So let's see if it immediately kicks the ball out or if it lets it sit in there if you do it by hand. I'm just going to tap it real quick. Okay, so it's working if you just tap it, but if I hold it, it's not working. Let me try just tapping this one. So we're at 803. Oh, it's not. That one locked on. Okay, so let me try these again. Yeah, it's all screwed up. We're going to have to figure that out. But we know. So A, B, C, and D, and why is B and D not lit up now? Maybe if you do it again, they don't light up. Oh, when you get all of them, it resets them all. Okay. See, it didn't stay on that time either. Maybe because I didn't hold it down long enough. Yeah, so we definitely got issues with the holes and the way they score and the way they light up the arrow values. Let's get one to light up, though, and just see if we get our arrow value. Yeah, they won't lock on now, so we'll have to figure that out first. So let's look in the schematics. All right, so here are the schematics. You can get a copy of these schematics if you want from the Pinball resource, pbresource.com. They have the license from Gottlieb to reprint these schematics. These are the ones that originally came with one of these machines, so I've got an original copy here, but you can buy whichever ones you need from them. They don't have to be Gottlieb either. They can do Bally and Williams and all of that stuff, so check them out. That's where we get all of our parts for our machines. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the schematic theory so you can see just how valuable these schematics are. If you're ever trying to figure out why a feature doesn't work, the way I do it is I look at the lights. How does the light work? And then that tells you what area must be involved. It makes it easier to figure out where you need to be looking. So you've got this area at the top. The A hole light, the A rollover light, there's two of them. The B hole light, there's two of them, two rollover lights. The C hole light, and there's two rollover lights. And the D hole light, and there's two D rollover lights. So, which ones of those are on depends on whether the A, B, C, or D relays are tripped. So our problem is we're hitting, or we think we're hitting let's do the B hole instead of the A hole. I don't want to keep saying A hole. I might get demonetized. The B hole light, it's tripping, but then it's going back. Like I guess it's not holding or something. So the light's coming on and then going back, right back off, etc., etc. So how do you trip A, B, C, or D? Well, you have this little section of the schematics that says the A, B, C, and D relays. So see how we were able to find that really quickly just by looking at where the lights are? So these four must be involved with what we're doing here. So if you land in hole switch B, that is going to turn on the B relay, which is then going to hold itself on with a switch on itself until a switch that says P opens up. So it looks to me like it's not holding on or whatever. It looks like none of them were. So the P relay, I'm told here, is the change players, add ball count relay. So that means until the end of the game, until your game is over and it moves to the next player, it should hold on. Well, that's interesting. It kind of looks like ours is holding on as long as I had my hand on the switch, my finger on the switch. So maybe that switch on that relay is messed up. So let's look at how it scores, because we were having a problem with that too. Okay, so the 10-point relay is this M relay here. Now I noticed whenever I was hitting the 10-point bumpers on the side, that every once in a while I would see the score reel kind of hang a little bit. So I'm wondering if it's not just that score reel on the first player is still a little touchy and I need to mess with it, make sure it's moving well. It could be that. You could test that by playing a 2-player game and seeing if it does the exact same thing on the 2-player as it does on the 1-player. That would rule out the score reel. So we'll look into that. But how do you score 10 points in this game? Well, one of the ways is through the N relay, which is the 1-point relay. So if the 9th position switch is closed, if you're at 9 points, the next time you get a point and the N relay closes, it's going to give you 10 points too. That's one way. And then another way is right here. When the FF relay closes, you will get 10 points. And that's attached to motor 1A. So motor position 1A. I'm trying to see. Yes. Motor position 1A is right here. That is switch stack 1, and then A, which is the bottom plate on the motor, which is the impulse plate. So that's going to hit 5 times. So that's how you're getting your 5, bam, 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 your 50 points, right? Now we already know that if you score 5 points, it works perfect. We're not having any problems with that. And that uses, let me see if I'm correct here. Yeah, that uses the same setup. So here is the 1-point relay. It gets its points through a switch that called EE, the relay EE instead of FF, right? So when the EE relay closes, it goes back to here, and it uses motor 1A as well. We're looking at the FF relay to make the 50 points happen, right? So how do you turn on the FF relay? Maybe that's the problem. Well, if you look way down here at the bottom, there is the FF relay. How does it turn on? Well, it doesn't turn on there. It doesn't turn on through itself. So that's the switch that holds it on once it's turned on, right? The way it's turned on is if you land in the top hole switches, A, B, C, D, or the center switch hole at the top. Whenever you land in there, it's going to turn on the FF relay, which is going to hold itself on through this switch until that switch opens on the motor. All right, so we need to think about why are we having our problem? If I hit the switch with my hand, we're having issues. So maybe the issue is I need to use the ball instead of my hand, right? We're finding new ways to get demonetized on this video. So we'll try that. And then if I keep having problems, it may be smart to try a 2-player game and see if the second player is having the same problems, because that would rule out the score reel. And then we can go from there. So we need a little bit more information. Another thing we could check is the left hole switch and the right hole switch use that same motor connection, motor 1C, to lock on the I relay. So we could check that too. So we just need a little bit more information. So let me mess with it, and then the answer should become apparent. All right, so I went ahead and just hit the 1-point bumper several times, and it goes ding, 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 ding. It's like perfect, right? But if you do that with the 10-point one, it'll go ding, 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 ding. It's not turning smooth, okay? So I pulled out the score reel that we've already messed with, and I started looking at the end of stroke switch. Now, this is the first thing I don't like that I see. If you look at that rivet in there, look at that inside rivet. See it moving? The one on the left, see that? That is not making good contact. the rivet itself is falling out of the switch. So let me show you why that's a problem. When you hit a switch or something to score 10 points, the first thing that it does, whatever you score to 10 points with, the first thing it does is it locks itself on with a switch on the relay. And the reason they do that is because, let's say you hit a target on the playfield and just for a second, well, the thing won't stay on. So that locks the relay on until one of these 4 switches opens. Right? And so we're looking at this one, and it's all screwed up, which means that this probably isn't locking on, which is why we're not getting, I don't know why that, I don't know if that would cause our problem or not, but it's definitely a problem. It's going to screw up the ability to score 10 points. So I'm going to fix that and then try it again, and then I'm going to do the thing I was talking about where I play a 2-player game and see if it's different for both players. Alright, so this is the A, B, C, and D relays. That's what pulls in whenever the ball lands in the hole. So if I trigger those, what's happening is they're pulling in and then releasing again. But if you trigger them by hand, they pull in and stay pulled in. With the exception of D. So D isn't doing it because this wire's broke. Where is it? That wire has broken loose. So I need to solder that back on to fix that one. But whenever the ball is ejected out, those are resetting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trigger one of them. And the way they're held in place is with the connection on the P relay. The change players and add ball count relay. So we're going to see if that moves or anything whenever the ball kicks out. It could be that vibration is just doing it. So let's see, I'm going to try C here. So we're looking to see if that moves. So that did not move, but it did reset the relays. I know this is really loud, but it's just what it is, people. So like, watch this C one when I trigger it. Right? So something is resetting it. So we got to figure that out. Alright, so we're back to this. These are held in place through a switch on themselves, and it's 4 different switches, and they're all acting up, right? Through a switch on that P relay. So that's what we were just looking at, and that did not open. And it's clean and well adjusted, and if you click these down, they will just hold. So whenever it kicks out the ball at the top, these are resetting, which means that somehow these are losing power, and the power's dropping out. So how, it could be something that's vibrating because it's the coil's firing, or the coil firing shakes the playfield. So since this isn't opening, maybe something before it is. So if you look, how does it get its power? It goes through the QB relay. So it's a red and white wire that is connected to a maroon and yellow wire. What is the QB relay? The QB relay, it says, is the game over relay. So that's on the relay bank. So we're looking for that switch that's got a maroon and yellow wire on one lead, and then on the other lead of the switch it has a red and white wire. So here's the relay bank, and here is the QB relay. And it's kind of hard to see, but this is the switch. It has a red and white wire and a maroon and yellow wire connected to these 2 blades on this switch. And if you look really close, it's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can get a good look at it. Look, folks, I am not Steven Spielberg. Okay, so you are looking dead on the front of the switch. You're looking at the end of the 2 switches. You can see the 2 contacts in there. So if I push on that, see how they move together? So they're touching, right?
But what happens if I move just the end? Just the bottom switch. Watch this. You see what's going on? So I'm going to show you again. So if I touch on the small blade, see how they're both moving? That's because they're connected, right? But watch what happens if I touch on just the big blade. So do you catch it? They're touching, but they're just barely touching, right? It's not adjusted properly. So if we move over to like this one, see this big blade and the small blade? Watch what happens when I touch both of them, they both move. And if I touch just the big one, see how the little one moves a little bit before they separate? That's called wiping action, basically. Because the face of that bottom contact is rubbing it against the face of the top contact. So that's a properly adjusted switch. So when it closes, it moves through the contact just a little bit. This one, when it closes, you don't see that other blade move because it's just barely touching. And it's crazy because it must be touching enough for the game to work, but you get a little bit of a vibration when the coil fires, and it's enough to shake this just slightly loose and kill the power to the top part of the playfield, and then it goes back whenever it stops bouncing. So we're losing power whenever it kicks that ball out. I don't know that has anything to do with our scoring problem, but it definitely has to do with the part where the A, the B, the C, and the D won't lock on. So I'm going to adjust that a little bit, and we'll try it again.
All right, so I have started a 4-player game, and we have the same problem on all 4 players with this scoring issue. So that pretty much reels out the reels. But we have got it now where it locks on the lights. So we did that. I wonder if D is not locking on. I'll keep looking into that. I resoldered that wire, but maybe the light bulb's messed up or something. Anyway, with that said, it doesn't score right. So 310, I should get 50 points. You see what it's doing? It's hanging and all that. And it's doing that on all 4 players, but only on the 10. So this is a significant thing. So that's 50 points. It will not do 5 10s in a row. It just doesn't score right. Did I screw up my thing right? Oh, I should be able to do it this way. Well, I've got them all lit up now. Let's see if the D will do it. I should get 5 points for that. Okay, yeah. So that one's not locked on yet, so there's some kind of problem with that. But watch how it scores 5 points. So in other words, it will score 5 points perfectly every time. But when it goes to score 50 points, it's all screwed up. It just doesn't do it right. So I was just doing that by scoring the value on the playfield here, not necessarily the holes at the top. So we've got some kind of problem where if it's scoring 50 points, that won't work. But if it's doing 5, that will work. And that's an important distinction to make. All right, so that's the switch that makes the D relay lock on or turn on at all. And the wire was broke. So I resoldered the wire to the switch. That should fix that. Now, for the 50 point thing, I think I figured it out. It took a while. But I started noticing if you hit, and it did it on all 4 players, which means it's not specific to any of the score reels. So it's probably something with the 10-point relay or whatever. And I noticed that if you tried to just score 10 points over and over again, nothing to do with the 50 point where it scores 5 times. If you just bam, 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 it would hang and do things. And sometimes you'd see it lock on and all this stuff, right? So I took the 10-point relay apart and cleaned the plate here and the face of the coil. I didn't film it because we got so much stuff going on, but basically I got that all clean. So I think what was happening was locking on, like it was just it was magnetized or there was dirt on it or something. where it wouldn't release cleanly like it's supposed to. But I think I've got it now, so let me put the playfield back down and we'll try it. All right, folks, we're going to give it a try. All right, it didn't kick the ball out because I had the ball right there. Ball number 1. Oh, I guess we should use it though. All right, so we'll do A first. That's more like it. And it lit up right. On to B. Perfect. Now the ding you heard was because the 10s rolled over to 100, so you heard a 100 bell too. Dun, 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 dun. You heard that. So let's see if our D works since we resoldered the wire. It works now. All right. Something's loud. I think it's the relay that turns on the middle pop bumper light. So let's see if that's 100 now. It is. Okay, so what makes that turn on and off is 10 points. Maybe that's the D is loud. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Now the center one says targets and red bumpers, so I figured out these are the red bumpers. I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that earlier. And the targets are these 2 targets. So that's on. Okay, so it's going to give us our arrow value, so let's see if we can get 400 points if we roll through one of the ones that are lit. Perfect. Perfect. So let's see if it'll give us 50 points if we roll through one of the ones that are lit. We'll try D. Look at that. And I don't know how we light these up. Maybe with the 10-point thing. Yeah, okay. So whole scores arrow value, and when lit, same player shoots again. So let's see, the arrow value is 200. It did work. And same player shoots again. And then finally, let's see about the star value. And now it says the star. Hitting arrow value and multiplier arrows on the star scores 500 points. I don't know if that's how it's set. There may be a setting on there to make it where you get a free ball or something too. I don't know. But if we've already won a free ball, can't do it again. Okay, it is set up to get 500 points. Okay. So, all that to say, I think we're working good. And see how it held it over past the end of the player? Let's see what that annoying relay is that's humming so loud. Woo! Wasn't that one. It's this one. The D. Alright, so the D needs a little work. That's the one that wasn't coming on before because the wire was broke loose. Alright, so I have pulled the coil out of the relay. And if you look, see how that plate is kind of rusty looking? And see how the face of the metal there is kind of rusty looking? So basically what's going on is that wire has probably been broke for a long time, so this coil hasn't been energized in a long time. And it's just not cleanly pulling down that plate, and that's why you're hearing that noise as a vibration. Now, you notice that it's all charred up. They all do that, because those rollover, those relays they come on and they stay on. So all 4 of them are hot. That's just how they run. So that's not the problem. It's just that it's not cleanly pulling down on that plate. So I'm going to clean that. I'm just going to use a file to just clean it off, get it nice and bright and shiny again, and clean the plate off, and then put it back, and hopefully that will calm it down a little bit. Okay, so that quieted it down. I got them all back on again. And it's scoring right. Everything's cool. All right, so I'm going to slide the glass in it because you will never know what's truly broke until you button it all up to where you can't get back to anything. All right, folks, we're going to play it a little bit. I'm going to just play one game. Now, we did a video before of this, so I'll put it at the end where you can watch more gameplay if you would like. We've got it set on free play, and you're going to see something possibly that you won't see very often. these little 2-inch flippers are actually pretty strong, and they can get the ball all the way back up to the top. They're not really designed where they have to do that because there's a lot of stuff in the way, but you'll see maybe, I'm not super talented, but from time to time when I hit it, you'll see it go by the pop bumper and all the way to the top. Whoa, if it doesn't hit the little arrows. I've found that a lot of pinball players don't like anything different. And so they'll find something to not like about any game. So what they'll find to not like about this game is, oh, the ball hits the arrows. Oh. Personally, I'm not all that great of a player. So to me, I just like playing ones that are unique, that are a little different. I don't really, you know, I don't get all caught up in, oh, that's not as fun as the other one I played. You know, I just like trying different designs. My arrows are set on 10. 10 points. That sucks. That's like the worst thing it could possibly be set on. Oh! Ball 4. So at the end of each ball, it resets the A, B, C, D. I think earlier I was saying that it was at the end of each player. It's at the end of each ball. I love the bells. Oh, they slid it right by us. What a cool game, though. I need to practice, folks, but this video is getting pretty long. So I will put up another video, like I said, of some gameplay of it that we shot a while back. So we'll put it up here. Now, would you like to know how you can help our channel out? We haven't mentioned this in a while. Down below our videos, there is a link to Amazon. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, you know, especially this time of year, you might be considering it for birthday presents. I know I'm going to be buying some stuff on there. Not birthday presents. Well, the Lord's birthday presents. Christmas presents. If you use our Amazon links down below to take you to Amazon, anything you buy after you go to Amazon, after clicking that link, it gives us a percentage of. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. So I'll put a video up here, though, of us playing a Four Seasons last time, since this one's getting so long, and you can check out a little bit more of the gameplay if you would like to see that. We'll see you on the next one. We're going to test play this one for a while and make sure that everything's working, and then we'll call the customer.